Hey guys, what's up? This is Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs.
And I'm David Woldingen.
And wouldn't you know it, the basketball season's here. Kind of sneaking up on all of us. Mizzou opens their season November 3rd. And hey, we're going to preview this entire season for you. Before we start, please guys go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Spotify. And in the comments, I want to see some predictions. Let me know what you think. Are you going to surprise some people, make the tournament? Do some damage in the tournament, or is this a rebuilding year? Let us know. All right, year four for Dennis Gates, and it's been a roller coaster. The highs of kind of making the tournament and having pretty exciting moments with the winless conference season in between. And this year, you kind of have no clue what to expect, to be honest with you. Is that how you view this going in?
Uh, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I have an idea of what to expect. I feel like they're just going to take a step backwards, partly because they lost a lot of scoring last year. Uh, um, I mean, they still have some good pieces, some good talent, but they're all role player pieces, and there's no real incoming players to take over the scoring, if you know, if you really look at it. So in that instance, I think the talent's going to be there, and I think they're going to be a few pieces short of being a really good team. And in this case, they're just going to take a step back this year, especially with how difficult the SEC is.
Yeah, you look at the roster, what comes back. You have two solid pieces, perhaps great pieces. You have Anthony Robinson, you have Mark Mitchell. All right. Mitchell named second team All SEC in the preseason. There's one interior guy and one backcourt guy. So you have something at least to build around. That's certainly better than nothing. We've seen each of them have stretches where they just take over a game. For Robinson, I think a gigantic factor, once again, will be discipline with the fouls. I think that's going to be enormous for this entire team. One, because you're talking about your best or second best player being off the court because of foul trouble. If he avoids that, that changes things for this team a little bit, I think. And Mark Mitchell, we've seen him where he gets the ball at the free throw line or even outside the 3 point line, and just if he's got any space, he's going to the rack and he's got a head of steam. Look out! It's either a bucket or he's going to the line. And I'll caveat with this: he needs to be a little bit better with some of the bunnies. That was the one weak spot, and I would imagine it was worked on. But David, if Mark Mitchell is just a little bit more effective finishing, look out.
Well, and he might have some help underneath too with Sean Phillips coming in from Arizona State.
Yeah.
Uh, he looked really good in that exhibition game against Kansas State. Granted, you can't take much from that because Kansas State, I don't think is going to be very good this year. But he showed he can get those around the rim baskets real quick, easy. He's 7 feet tall. He can maybe take some of the pressure off Mitchell and allow him to do things more outside from underneath and allow him to go to work, if you will. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two play off each other.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, I think the very quick description is start with Josh Gray, make him more athletic, make him more effective offensively, maybe not quite as good defensively, and just make him very athletic. Like I said, that's I think what you're getting with Phillips. Kansas State coach Jerome Tang said that having played him before at Arizona State, he noticed his body was different and he looked more athletic, and he was very complimentary of the Mizzou staff, the strength and conditioning guys, for just what the work they've done on his body to make him more athletic. And I'm very interested to see if he's able to do those sorts of things offensively to SEC defenses, and can he defend in this league without having an obscene amount of fouls. So there's realistic world where, yeah, Mark Mitchell has more help down low than he had last year. That's the hope, at least. Now, one thing Missouri lost is its 3-point shooting. Ant Robinson shot a really healthy clip. He was right around 40%. I have it here somewhere. I'll pull it up for you. But Anthony Robinson, while shooting a high percentage, was not a volume 3-point shooter, okay? An even 40% he was. He was not a volume guy like Caleb Grill or even Tamar Bates. Who else on this roster is going to be that outside shooter? That is my number one question for this team. And honestly, I think the biggest thing I'm nervous about with this roster. Who can hit a three?
Well, and you have a few guys who can hit it free, but they can't hit it consistently. You got Jacob
Yeah.
Cruz,
Yes.
who's a very inconsistent, streaky shooter, as well as player in general. And then Trent Pierce showed he could hit the three at times, but was also very streaky. Granted, he's still coming off an injury, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays this year and see how much he's been able to develop over the offseason, too. So there are a few, and then they brought in some new guys who, quite honestly, I still don't have any idea about until we see him play more. Uh,
Yeah.
but
So I wonder if there's an expectation from the coaching staff to see Sebastian Mack as an outside threat. I hope that they aren't. If they're expecting him to come in and shoot 35% from three or better, I think they're either being naive or arrogant, to be honest with you. Eventually, you are what the numbers say you are. And looking at Sebastian Mack, his 2 seasons in college, 28.3% from three, and a year ago, 31.4% from three. That ain't going to cut it. If you're talking about a main source of the 3-point basket, Missouri has to have better than that. Now, Mack is aggressive, goes to the rack, potentially deadly with the ball in his hands and just any sort of hole in the defense. That's where he is dangerous, David.
yeah, and this team definitely is going to be a driving team. Another player who could potentially hit a few threes transferring from Oklahoma is Luke Northweather. He shot 34% from outside last year. Again, not a great clip. Um, but
And
he
this you're going way down to the end of the bench if
right,
Northweather's out there.
right,
Let's
no.
let's just be honest with ourselves.
But I mean, like, there's really not much out there for three on this team. It's a lot of athletic guys who can drive to the rim and maybe hit a mid-range jump shot, which, in all honesty, is a lost art, especially in the college
Yes.
game, because it's either three or to the rim. If you get a guy who can hit that mid-range jump shot, they could be deadly just because nobody knows how to step out and cover that anymore.
Well,
So
and with Missouri's roster, when everybody gets the ball and if they don't shoot a three, they are driving to the rack. If you do that time after time and then, oh, hold up, someone stops from 13 feet away and just hits that mid-range shot, if they're able to stop suddenly, well, maybe one kind of step back dribble, a little fadeaway action, that's going to be hard to stop. But yeah,
one
it's something that yeah maybe they can do, but we'll see.
Another guy I'm interested to see offensively how he does this year is Teo Barrett.
Yeah,
He's gonna get an extended run because he's gonna relieve and some time as point guard. and maybe even play at the same time as him to give him a shot to run his own offensive plays, if you will. So with the more time that he's getting and the more acclimated that he's getting, how much offensively are we going to see out of him? And then another player who had some extended time in the Kansas State game, who might actually have an impact this year, is Boateng.
Yep.
Uh, heard a lot about him. He's very athletic, very talented, but he had injuries set him back last year, and it just took him all year to catch up because he missed so much practice and so much time that now that he's been healthy for a year and in the program working, I'm interested to see how he's adjusted to the game and how much of an impact he's going to have. So he could be someone under the radar that could really take over as he gets more comfortable and more playing time.
Yeah, again, Boateng fits perfectly with what Gates wants. Super athletic, drive to the rack, long armed, can get in the way defensively. Yeah. Seeing him in the rotation, I think there's an expectation that with as highly ranked as he was, that to some extent it's now or never to see if he's going to be a factor at the college level. If he's not at all this year, not playing more than 10 minutes a game, say, I think you can question if he's ever going to do anything at the college level. Um, one guy we haven't talked about is Jaden Stone. And simple reason for that, what do you what are you getting with him? It's tough to say. Missed basically all last year. He was at West Virginia but did not play due to injury. And before that was at Detroit Mercy. And he filled it up. Let's make no mistake at that level. What does that mean in the SEC? I don't know. Uh, but I think that's a guy who, again, I don't expect him to be a spot up 3-point shooter, but once again, mobility, driving the basketball to the rack, same type thing. So got options, but it's all for the same type of offense, which is where my concern lies, as I said earlier. Now, David, if you were going to have a couple of keys for this season, what would you go with?
Uh, Anthony Robinson staying out of foul trouble.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, his defense is top of the game, if you will. His biggest issue was he would commit stupid fouls from time to time, and it would take him off the court. Yes, you have Teo Barrett who can run the offense and is really good at it. He showed that last year, but you need Robinson scoring his speed, his ability to get to the rim, to make his own shot. He can even step back and hit a three when he needs to. He's not a three shooter, but he will pop up and hit a shot when he needs to. So you have to keep him on the court. If he gets into foul trouble, I don't know where you turn outside of Mark Mitchell for points right now, just because there's so many guys incoming that we just don't know offensively what they can do. That you have to keep him on the court and keep things going.
Well, and last year, how many times did he pick up a foul that he either was mad at himself at or thought was a bad call, and within 90 seconds, tweet second foul, done for the half. That had to
Oh,
happen 6 or 7 times, and it was maddening. And the second foul was almost always a careless discipline foul, not an effort foul trying to defend a shooter. And that made it all the worse. Getting rid of those fouls, yes, monumental. I agree with you. For me, I'm going to harp on it again. Who steps up and can shoot the 3-pointer? Anthony Robinson shoots at a high clip, but he's not a volume shooter. Talked about that. Can Sebastian Mack do it? Can Jacob Cruz? Is he more consistent? A year ago, he was streaky, and yes, there were a couple games where he'd hit 3, 4 in a row, and then he'd keep shooting and miss 7, 8 more in a row after that. So he has to be more consistent. And yeah, you need somebody who can shoot 36, 37% from three. And right
Well,
now,
and
I don't
then
know who that is.
another
If no
player
one
who's
does that, if no one does that, I think your only option is to play T.O. Barrett more and move Anthony Robinson off the ball so that he can kind of take on that role. Because otherwise, the defenses can just sag off, and honestly, it becomes a lot easier to play zone against Missouri, and that
what
helps take away Mark Mitchell.
and I know he's way down on the bench, but another player who could potentially come in and maybe hit a three because he's supposed to be a really good jump shooter is Aaron Rowe. But
Yeah.
he's also undersized, both body weight and all that. He's supposed to be really fast and has supposed to be a really good jump shooter coming in as a freshman. So I don't know how much of an impact he has just because there's a lot of guys ahead of him who could play. But if he starts hitting his shots, he can earn himself some playing time in these real easy early season games and make a name for himself hitting that three. And he could find himself as a off the bench guy, role guy to bring that energy that the team might need.
So just to divert a little bit from the keys, I want to talk about Nicholas Randall real quick. Another one of the incoming freshmen, along with Rowe. I wonder if he can be kind of a spark off the bench, a little bit like Marcus Allen was a year ago. He's a little bit bigger than Allen was, 6'9", 240, which honestly, that's good size for a freshman. That's great.
Just to
Especially if
compare,
he can.
I was just gonna say, just to compare, he's about the same size as Mark Mitchell.
Yeah. He I don't know if his offensive game is going to be there, but defensively, rebounding. You know what? You have a young guy come in there and just clean up for a 5 minute stretch. That can be a spark that changes a game. We saw it with Marcus Allen last year. I'd keep an eye on Randall to be that guy if Missouri has one. I think he'd be the leading contender for that kind of role. So now going through predictions. This is not going to be just we're going to drop the record. We are going to go through the schedule in chunks. So let's go ahead and pull up the schedule here. I got a million links open here. Well, it starts Monday at Howard. And well, that kicks off kind of a stretch that's, well, let's be kind and just say woof. Um, so Howard, SEMO, VMI, Minnesota, return game from a couple years ago. Prairie View A&M, South Dakota, South Carolina State, Cleveland State, where Gates came from, at Notre Dame in the SEC ACC Challenge, the Border War, this time at in Kansas City, whatever they're calling, used to be the Sprint Center, the T-Mobile Center, whatever they're calling it now.
T-Mobile Center now.
There you go. Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, bragging rights. So that's your non-conference. Honestly, there's not much there outside of the rivalry games. Howard Mizzou went through, Drew King did, and looked at it. There's a lot of terrible teams that are well down, worse than 200 in the Ken Palm projections. Anything worse than 11-2 is a problem. It means you've got an awful, awful loss around your neck already for a team that I think people are expecting to be on the bubble. I think they'll be that 11-2. I think they'll win everything except the two rivalry games. I think they're going to lose both of those.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said the same thing when I was looking at the schedule. I do think, as awful as the schedule is, it benefits getting all these new guys to click together and see what you have, and it allows the freshmen to get acclimated to college speed and play. However, that also gives you like this overconfident feeling to where you could get smacked in the face with Kansas when you go into T-Mobile Center. So
Well, that's honestly the only explanation I can come up with for Missouri and their schedule building because it's becoming a thing with Dennis Gates that the non-conference, you have your two rivalry games, Illinois and Kansas. You have your SEC ACC challenge, um, and maybe one other high major, and the rest not just mid majors, but awful mid majors. I don't get it. I question it. It it keeps the fan base from getting as engaged as they could otherwise be. I mean, who's going to be excited to say, "Yeah, let's go see Missouri play South Carolina State," as an example, or Bethune Cookman? Everybody in America is wondering what in the world is Mizzou doing playing at Howard. I understand, HBCU trying to highlight them. Well, you know what? I don't care. I still think that's dumb. Your
I don't
job
really.
is to your job is to make Missouri win a national championship. That's your sole focus. Uh,
For the first game of the season, though, I don't have a problem with that. Quite honestly, if it was later in the season, maybe I'd question it. But the very first game of the season, by all means, let's do it.
I
Uh,
think it's silly. All you're doing is taking away a home game from yourself.
that nobody shows up to anyway.
If you schedule somebody, they would.
But
I
if
think
they're
if
not
they played
eh,
somebody from the
here,
MAC or even a terrible.
if they're not going to schedule the game, you might as well schedule this game. At this point, I don't really like whatever. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. All right.
The schedule
So
itself
11 and
does,
2, I
but
think, is your bare minimum for that. And then it opens up in a hurry. Saturday, January 3rd, SEC opener. And who comes to town but the defending champion Florida Gators? And that
yeah.
kicks off a stretch where Missouri might end up being a top 25 team. I don't think they are, but they could be and still start the SEC schedule 0 and 4 because you're starting home Florida at Kentucky, who's number 9, at Ole Miss, and then home versus Auburn, who is admittedly a little bit more of a wild card now that Senator Bruce Pearl is gone.
I'm sorry, that still makes me laugh.
um, that is brutal.
Well, you'll find out real quick what type of team you
Yeah,
have that if they
yeah.
compete
So
and
that's
make
one
it.
where you can't be mad at Missouri even if they start 0 and 4. That's tough. But let's just say they have a chance to get a lot of it back in a hurry, and they need to. You got at LSU versus Georgia at home versus Oklahoma at home. There's a chance that you're back to 3 and 4 just like that. All right. Uh, and then, it's an SEC schedule. It's not easy. Going down the line here at Carolina, at A&M, that's a tough road trip there. Missouri gets destroyed at A&M. That is a house of horrors, Reed Arena. Texas
Yeah,
and Vandy at home, that's helpful. You know, 2 games with Arkansas. You have a trip to Norman, which I think they'll want to avenge because last year's trip to Norman was an absolute debacle. Overall, David, this is a team that it's going to come down to 3-point shooting and Anthony Robinson, as we talked about. If they can get to 10 and 8, I think they're going to end up being fine for the tournament. About an 8 seed, I think they'd be. I don't have them that high. I've got them at 19 and 12. I believe they're going to go 8 and 10 in the SEC. I think they're going to start 0 and 4, and then I think they're going to 14. I think they're going to be 8 and 6 after that. So they're going to finish relatively strong, and they might be one of those teams where we're talking about can they make a run come conference tournament time. And
yeah, and
I got them coming up just short of the tournament, and I've got them being like a 1 or 2 seed in the NIT if they even care to bother with it.
I have Mizzou at 9-9 in the SEC, so going what 20 and 11, so one game more than you. Uh, I do think it's going to be a regression from last year, uh, unless a couple of these incoming freshmen can make a name for themselves right off the bat.
Yeah.
Just because we don't have any solid scoring, or Boateng just explodes out of nowhere for us, which would be awesome. But just because I don't know where the scoring's coming from, I can't see them doing more than 99. They'll
And let's
walk.
clarify. Let's clarify. Robinson's going to get his. Mark Mitchell's going to get his.
Oh yeah,
All right. But
100%.
even if they both go for 20 a game, that's still 40.
Yeah, you
All
got to
right.
get scoring out of others.
Yeah, I think that is where we're at. Is you? I think we both expect Robinson and Mitchell to have good years. The problem is, yes, who's that third option? Who's that outside option? If none of those present themselves, teams focus on Mitchell and Robinson, and then what?
It'll look like a Conzo team from a couple of years ago.
But yeah, I got Missouri. Just to summarize here, 19 and 12. Whatever preseason tournament or postseason tournament, excuse me, that they choose to go to. I think there was one in Vegas that Nebraska won last year, where they won like a team's got to split $1 million or something. I don't know. That there's a million of those things now. Missouri will end up in one of them, I think.
But yeah, I have them going 20 and 11, and kind of like you said, with the strength of the SEC from a year ago, I could see them potentially making it in as a bubble team based off that. But at that point, who knows? I mean, they're not gonna go far in the tournament. I don't think, again, unless a couple of players really take a leap forward, especially with their three shooting. Because if you can get that three shooting going, it just opens up the whole floor, and then that's a whole new ball game. Uh, but
This it feels like a bridge year. Till
yeah,
Bryant and Crow hit campus, the 5 stars. It almost feels like a bridge year. Just don't nuke the program and let the superstars get to campus. And next year might be the year.
and that's kind of how I felt with what Gates took in the transfer portal too. Is he kind of knew too that it was just a year to hold things together and then get ready for the next season. Uh, that probably is not what he's thinking, but that's kind of the feeling I get.
Yeah.
But anyway, basketball season starts November 4th. We'll keep you updated
Third,
all.
third, Monday night.
I thought it was the 4th.
No, it is Monday tomorrow. It is Sunday the 2nd as of us filming this. It is at Howard. Yeah.
Oh, well, my bad. November 3rd, then. Uh, we'll keep you guys updated with all things Mizzou. And who knows, maybe the team can surprise us and bring us into another fun season. As always, we'll keep you updated with all things Mizzou. So thank you for watching.